Welcome to Oz Talk.
Hello.
Oh my God, we're wearing the same shirt.
Totally by accident. This was not planned.
Exactly. What a day. I mean, I texted you, I think it was at 10 a.m. Pacific, which is 12 here, 1 p.m. Where you are in the New York area. And Universal surprised us with a little bit to whet our appetites prior to this Wednesday, May 15th release of the first full trailer for Wicked Part 1, which of course opens November 27th, Thanksgiving. We can't wait. And so I texted you immediately and I was like, let's do an Oz Talk.
Let's do it. Let's just hop on live and discuss what we saw. And this is really brilliant marketing on the part of Universal because, of course, everybody was speculating. There was a lot of innuendo and outuendo about when we were going to see this trailer. They answered the question for us. Hey, guys, here's a little something. You'll see it Wednesday. And everyone is just buzzing online about this featurette.
It's so true. I love the new logo already with the pink and green incorporating Glinda and Elphaba together because, of course, the show and the film is all about this magical pairing, the story between two women. As a film critic and a member of the Critics' Choice Association, I, as a rule, avoid trailers and spoilers in advance because I feel that it sets up expectations that I'm often disappointed in watching a movie because I'm looking for things that I've previously seen in trailers. But I don't have that luxury here. We don't have that luxury here as Oz historians because we want to be able to comment on and keep up with news as it's coming out from Universal Pictures and the rest of it. But also, in the case of this featurette that we're about to look at, a passion project, it's not really focusing on performance. It's really giving us time to digest the art direction, the scenic design, everything that's going on with costume, hair, and makeup. And it's so overwhelming. I feel like, this is a movie. These movies we're going to probably watch 1 million times each, repeat viewings, to really digest everything that's going on there. So I love that this featurette is giving us some moments to kind of get into a little bit of like teasing us of what we're going to really see on Wednesday.
And, there was some talk about screening. Someone leaked from that screening. And I've been saying to everyone that's been asking me questions, you cannot judge a film from that. And this really shows us these folks that are taking on this project are people who actually really care about its success, are invested. We'll get more into it as we watch the featurette. But to me, what this says is, hey, we know you love this thing. The people that made it for you really love it also and want to do justice by it.
Yes, exactly. You're right. Yeah, and I think what you're referring to, there was a potential test screening, right? And and those are, mainstream movie does that, and there's a point to it. But to get reactions from it are really unnecessary because it's at such a work in progress point in a film. So even things sometimes you see in trailers don't end up in finished product movies that are released. So anyway, let's take a look at this passion project featurette, shall we?
Yes, please.
Like it. I remember that. It was like a rainy night and I felt really alive.
Sorry, I want to start it at the beginning.
This is live, folks.
Yes.
Anything can happen.
Exactly. Anything. All right, let us do this way. Here we go.
Here we go.
Well, whenever anyone asks me, like, what's the one movie you want to do? If there was one, I'd always say it'd be Wicked.
On my 25th birthday, I took myself to see the show. I'd never heard anything or seen anything like it. I remember that. It was like a rainy night and I felt really alive. felt like I was floating on air.
I had the incredible privilege of seeing the original Broadway cast of Wicked when I was 10, and I just felt an immediate bond.
I'm sure that you have dreamed of playing one of the two roles. Would you be Elphaba or Glinda? You'd be Glinda.
For sure.
It had a very personal effect on me. This is a very cinematic show. This should be on the big screen.
There's sort of this innate understanding of what it feels like to be someone who's different.
It's always been the thing that I listen to when I'm nervous, when I'm needing an escape, when I need comfort.
Wait a minute.
I went in for my first audition, and I just remember being, like, buzzing.
And when she came in, she was an Ari that I'd never seen before.
And then I got the call to come in.
Cynthia was so raw and vulnerable. And I couldn't get her out of my head.
The world needs to see more of you. We would love for you to be our Elphaba.
It's been a really long journey. And I'm really grateful for it. I never thought in my lifetime that I would get to be a part of something like this.
We want you to be our Glinda the Good.
Oh my God, thank you. I love her so much. I'm gonna take such a so much.
I want people to see Wicked and experience it in a way they've never experienced it before. I want them to feel what I felt going into that theater for the first time. I want to make them laugh, to make them sing, to make them feel that after they've watched it, they've been changed for good.
Can we just talk about Cynthia's cackle there?
Oh my God. I'm crying again. This is just gonna be me for the next 6 months.
I know. There's so much to unpack. It's amazing.
Oh.
My Toto jumped up. Say hello, Toto.
Hi, Toto.
And wanted to watch too. But yeah, there's so much going on here. Like I love how, like you referenced before we started watching, how much everyone cares, from John to Cynthia to Ari, and how much the story, I mean, it's touched everyone, whether we're involved with this film or a production of Wicked. Those of us that just love Oz so much in the audience are so moved and have been changed for good by the story, by the music of Stephen Schwartz and the writing of Winnie Holzman and the design and these iconic characters as created by L. Frank Baum. So it is absolutely revolutionary right now in Oz, and for Oz, the Oz community and fandom, I think, to have something come out that has been coming out that is such taken such great care.
I could not agree more. This musical has left a handprint on the hearts of so many people. Over 1 billion people have seen it on Broadway. It's and counting. And there's a reason why it's still here almost 21 years after it opened on Broadway. It is a great show. It has a great message. And we've all been waiting with bated breath to see who would bring it to the screen and how it would be done. And everything we see that as we get closer makes me more and more excited. I had goosebumps listening to Cynthia Erivo talk about this. And we got to break this down because we got so many goodies in this featurette that we hadn't seen before.
It's true. I was able to quickly, since we didn't have much time in preparation, pull some screen grabs. And so right away, I mean, just this image is talking about, what we're looking at right there. I have to reiterate, and I know I've said it every time that we meet Tori, but I'm so grateful that it all worked out the way that it did, that it took this long for the film to be made, that other directors said goodbye, that we eventually got John M. Chu, because he is becoming not only one of the greatest, most exciting filmmakers of our time, but such a force in movie musicals. And I feel like, he hasn't even really gotten full credit for it, like we think of, there are other names I could mention, but he's also adapting, bringing one of his other great films, Crazy Rich Asians, to the Broadway stage as a musical. And so he really loves musicals as much as those of us who get musicals and love them do. And to to have the foresight and knowing that what doesn't work, why many movie musicals fail at the box office, is because they're cutting out the songs, they're shortening it up, they're trying to make movie musicals for people who don't like musicals. Wicked did the opposite. They said, we're going to do it right. We're going to keep every song in. If that means we need to separate it into 2 films to let the story breathe, we're going to do it the right way. And for everybody that has called it a cash grab or other ridiculous things, that will all be shut down once the film comes out, and we see how well it was done because of John Chu and David Stone and Steven Schwartz and everyone at Universal who made the right decision.
I agree with you. I feel like the fact that they're not attempting to tailor this to an audience that is so broad that it costs the musical theater audience is to its benefit. Because when you cut songs, especially a song, for example, like Sentimental Man or like Something Bad, which a lot of people consider filler songs, if you cut those songs, you have to replace them with dialogue to explain what they were exposing. And for me, that's one of my pet peeves when I go to see a musical adaptation, when they cut a song, but then they use dialogue to explain what the song could have explained.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that they're not doing that here. And, it will face criticism for people who don't understand musical theater as a genre. But my hope is that the cinematic scale that they're going for, and just some of these shots, for example, Elphaba displaying her powers, and instead of Nessa Rose's wheelchair slowly coming back to her, it's flying through the air. They have Marissa Bodie on wires,
Yes,
flying through the air in her wheelchair. This is not your grandmother's Elphaba, ladies and gentlemen. This is cinematic scale.
Right. Yeah, this is obviously that moment when Elphaba and Nesteros arrive at Shiz and let her go. And it's amazing what they do on stage. I think the wheelchair spins around a little bit. Right here,
it moves independently, and it is a really cool effect the first few times you see it. Now that I've seen it 18 times, I'm like, yes, throw that chair, throw it in the air. I want to see her fly.
It's true. I've seen Wicked 46 times, and seeing this, it's like, oh yeah, it's a movie. They can do that. They can make it overwhelmingly, and we just get such great shades of it. So I think that's really exciting. The effects, and which we need to see. It's like we talked about with The Wiz on Broadway, how you expect to see big effects and moments, and there were things that they added as they went through the tour to Broadway to make it more dynamic, because when you go to the Land of Oz, a fantasy world and where their magic is real, you need to see the magic. So I love that they got a great team of people doing incredible effects here. Let's break it down. Look at this. Look at the moodiness of nighttime Oz Shiz University.
My guess is that this is I'm Not That Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
It could be.
Because this costume that Cynthia Erivo is wearing and the way her hair is styled looks very similar to the way she was styled when they're all out in the field together, running around, playing, interacting with each other. That moment where Cynthia Erivo is sitting and Ariana Grande puts her head down on her shoulder. So perhaps this is later that day and she's contemplating the day. I mean, it's just the grandness of the scale here, the lighting, the way that everyone is, the way she's sitting in the foreground, it's just perfection.
It really, really is gorgeous. And I also love that just like the lighting, right? With the steam, or the fog. Yep, it's really, really just so beautiful. I just think that there's going to be so much atmosphere to this film. And then if we look at the scenic design here in the dormitory, again, we're seeing this motif of circles everywhere throughout images that we see, whether they're, windows or here, even in the hallways. It's really spectacular, but I feel like I want to study it. We haven't had enough time to really, really look and see. I mean, look at like the almost fleur-de-lis designs in the finial type aspects of the molding on the walls. It's like amazing. The sconces.
It does have that university feel to it, but also, the more I've been contemplating the theme of circles, the more I'm wondering, because we haven't seen the time dragon clock at all. I don't know if they're going to include it, but it would make sense if these were all meant to be cogs in the clock, and that those are meant to harken back to that theme. I'm not sure if we're even going to see it. I haven't seen any sign of it,
right.
But that's what it calls to my mind.
That would be a big change because I guess it doesn't play that big a part of the story in the stage version, and it is in the book. Obviously, it's almost like a religion. So if they cut it out, it doesn't impact the story that much. But yeah, at least visually, we are seeing some of that. I like this that we see because it's like a bit of the behind the scenes moment, and we get a nice look at Marissa at your pal there.
I mean, what I love about this shot is that, again, this comes from that scene where I believe, where Glinda puts her head down on Elphaba's shoulders. They're all hanging out together, spending a lovely day. And what this does is it establishes these relationships and gives it more time to develop and really get fleshed out. And, you know, spoiler territory here, but this is something that Bowen Yang said publicly, so I hope I'm not overstepping the mark. On his podcast, Las Culturistas, he said that both Bach and Fierro are in on it together for part 2. So this would, that through line of all of them being close friends, not just loose acquaintances, is being established in part 1. Mm-hmm. And I really love that. That's one of the things I love most about the Oz stories, this idea of found families through friendship. And clearly that's what we're going for here.
Right. I love Paul Tazwell's designs here in costuming. I mean, look at Bach's hat and his jacket. His jacket has shades of a Tin Man. If you kind of see in the way that the shoulder and the elbow connects through those, there's a little bit of hint and foreshadowing there. I don't know that we get it yet from Fierro in this part of the films. We might in part 2 where we see him more in shades of green, right?
But we get the winky arrows, the winky triangles are sewn all through his vest there.
Yep.
And that's something that was in the book that you really didn't see in the musical. So I'm glad that they're bringing that back.
And an appropriate blue. Detail. Exactly. Yes. This shot is magnificent because we see the 4 of them. This might be when Elfie turns a monkey into a winged monkey for the first time. And they're kind of reacting to the results of her magic and reading the Grimoire.
Yes.
We don't see the Grimoire there, but that's all I can imagine this might be. But it's so cool. I just love anytime we see this kind of, you know, it's kind of like what we saw in the teaser trailer when the Fab Five-some, including Toto, in front of the wizard's head and bring her to me. And like just anything that's so iconic, and seeing what is now iconic characters, including Madame Morrible, along with the Wicked Witch of the West, Glinda the Good Witch, you know, and the wizard. It's so magical and just kind of, I don't know, doesn't it create an emotional reaction to you just seeing those characters together?
Anytime I see the Emerald City depicted on screen, it always hits me right here. I can't help it. And this is so much because the Broadway show leaves a lot to the imagination. The sets are beautiful, but they're not so built out. You know, they're pretty simple. And really, your imagination fills in the blank space. And this, to me, was where the filmmakers are really shining here. They're filling in the blank space, and it's exactly what I pictured in my mind. And that's an achievement right there.
It's so true. It's so true. Check this out. We've got some of the Glinda and Elfie arriving possibly at the Emerald City for the first time. This could be One Short Day, which is one of my favorite songs in the show. Because it's just, I mean, anytime you get, whether it's The Wizard of Oz, The Wiz, Wicked, anytime you first arrive to the Emerald City, that moment is so magical. And so I just love it. I mean, it's the moment we all want, I think, as Oz fans. It's like, you know, we think about going to Oz, where do we want to go? The Emerald City. I mean,
Emerald City, of course.
Yeah. So it's cool. And again, I just want to digest and dissect here. This is a little bit behind the scenes. It looks like we have some crew members there, in addition to some other costumed ensemble.
You know, I cannot even imagine what it was like walking on these sets. It must be like walking on the set of the 1939 film for the first time. But the Emerald City in particular, and I know they built out a lot of it, you know, the outdoor portions of the Emerald City, they practically built those sets. They're not green screen, so to speak. They're walking into an actual place. And the imagination for these performers, for the cast, for the crew must have just been alive with excitement.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, a moment that is a visual joke of the stage production is when you see Elfie and Glinda get back to their room after the, for the popular scene after the Ozdas ballroom, and you see all the shoes, the disparity between the closet space that they have and what's in their closets. And they do that on steroids, it looks like, for the film version, because the amount of pink and how it's just kind of growing out of Glinda's being is so appropriate and hilarious. And there's her starter wand.
Her training wand. And there was some discussion on my TikTok recently about how do we feel about them switching the blue ball gown back to pink. And I'm actually glad they're sticking with the pink motif.
Me too.
I think this calls to mind this here may be a concession for the general audience. When the general audience thinks of Glinda the Good, what's the first thing that pops in their head? It's Billy Burke. It's the pink ball gown from the 1939 film. So carrying this through here, I think makes tons of sense.
Well, and also, we have the line "pink goes good with green," and it plays into the the new logo that we're seeing. And I agree. I'm a little. Again, we've presenced before that there was a moment where early in the run, I think the out of town tryout, even her popular dress wasn't pink. Glinda didn't have pink because I think they were trying to stay away from the comparisons of the 1939 film. But when we're talking about Glinda, if you go back to the original books, Glinda's the witch of the South, not the North, and the South is the red country, and she's surrounded by red, and pink is a version of red. So, it brings us back to what's appropriate, what's official and canon for the character of Glinda, and all around it just makes so much sense. And I just love that we're seeing her in pink. I grew to like Glinda, when Kristen Chenoweth came out in the bubble in the blue and everything else, and it was fine. But I guess I had a little bit of the three fairies from Sleeping Beauty who is make it pink, make it blue, make it a little bit of that go on in my head. So I think those of us, and obviously Team Chu and the rest of the visionaries there, Tazwell, had the pink going on for them too when bringing this from stage to screen.
It just stands, because Elphaba's typically in dark colors, in black. It's just such a stark contrast. It, mirrors their personalities, but also they are so much deeper than the things they wear upon their person. Mm-hmm. And we find out that Glinda has a lot of shades of darkness and light in her. They're complex characters. And I think the mask we wear in public is also represented by the clothes that they put on themselves.
Mm-hmm. It's really true. And you know what? I'm hoping that Loungefly will just make that bag like a replica bag of that pink bag. How cute is that?
Oh, and her G symbol. Hold on. I have one here. There's some buttons out there already on the internet. That G symbol is all over all of her clothes. And I love this.
Yeah, it's our friend in Israel who actually is making some of these. There's the shiz thing. Yep, I got that too. I actually asked him. I was writing him. I asked him to make one this green shade. I think you have a different shade of green than I have, possibly. Mine's a little bit more bluish green. I asked him to make it more this color.
Love these.
Yeah, so good. We'll have to leave a comment about where to find some of this stuff. It's really cute. And yeah, I think the whole play and color is magnificent. Ozlog mug, your merch is available too. While we're at it. You have an Etsy shop, right?
We do. We have an Etsy shop. You can find it through the link in my Tickety Talk bio.
Yes, I love that. Okay, let's talk about this image, because the choreography, this is obviously no one mourns the wicked, but the choreography, there was some of that leaked stuff that you could find online a year or two ago, right? Where they were showing some of, and the what I love about this, and we have to look up, do you know who the choreographer is?
I forget his name. He's a pretty young choreographer. And what I'm seeing there's a lot of complex movement. It's not like the stage show. They were instructed in the staged version, if it feels like something you've done before, you're doing it wrong. And I see a lot of flavor of that in here as well. There's a lot of really strange and different kinds of movement. And it brings an otherworldly character to it.
Right. Christopher Scott, is that right?
That sounds right.
Yeah. So I'm just looking it up right now because I want to, give him the credit, because what I feel like what he's doing here, at least from some leaked images, and video that we saw, it's almost like the musical Hamilton, where the choreography looks like it is so inventive and kind of breaks out of what you expect, kind of with the music that you're hearing, and I think that's a really innovative take to do something that works, but almost works against in a brilliant way, and thus create something new. It's so appropriate for Oz, and as we saw, it began in the musical version, the stage version rather, where with I think especially the Ozdas Ballroom and Shiz University, the asymmetry in a lot of the design, and a lot of the movement is, especially the way that when Elfie starts dancing in a funky sort of way, and then Glinda joins her and they become friends in that breakthrough moment in the Ozdas Ballroom. So it looks like that flavor in its own original way is being brought to the screen as well.
Can we talk about the Ozdas Ballroom for just a second? Because this, for me, this featurette made me understand this is going to be the emotional linchpin here.
Yes.
And this is a moment that you will not find on stage, but this moment where they're doing that dance, and we see Glinda wipe her tear in a covert way. You know, she sees her crying, and as they're dancing, she gently wipes her face as she's sobbing because Elphaba finally finds this moment of acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, first of all, Cynthia Erivo is well on her way to that EGOT. She is on the Oscar. Whoa, girl.
I know. And I love, and our friends at down the YBP recently mentioned that they watched Harriet, which was, Cynthia was twice Oscar nominated for that film for Best Actress and Best Original Song. And I saw that movie twice in the theater. I loved it so much. She's so good. And yes, I agree with you. I'm hoping that this brings her, her EGOT, right?
I mean, she's already won in my book. I mean, just that backflip she did on those wires, and she's singing live while she's doing it.
Yes. So. That's insane. That's insane. You know, you and I both, me in childhood, but you more recently, we've taken voice lessons. We've done, our own kind of singing, and like to know that the kind of technique that and the power and that this woman has, the natural gift. Yes, that in of itself is award worthy right there. And
you need to sing these particular songs anyway, but then add a harness, which hinders your ability to breathe. Add the fact that you're literally flying through the air and flipping upside down. Forget it.
Yeah.
You win the Academy Award. There's no need for the show.
The achievement. It's so true. Yeah, it's absolutely magnificent. So much here. And just again, I think the emotional component of how connected they feel to these characters, the care that they're taking and bringing the story to the screen. I certainly can't wait till Wednesday. I think that this is everything right now.
This is going to be an incredible trailer. I think this will be more focused on part one. The first teaser felt like a trailer for the whole franchise. This feels more focused. This featurette feels really focused on key scenes in the first part. Mm-hmm. And can we just also side note, there was a shot, and I don't know if you have a screen grab of this. There was a shot in the Ozdas Ballroom as well where they're all toasting, and it looks like it's before Elphaba comes in. I loved that. Yeah. I loved the poppy moment that Elphaba has, another display of her power where the poppies are flying through the air and they put her classmates to sleep. Mm-hmm. This whole thing, they've taken what we know from Wicked the musical. They're expanding. They're adding in more from the book, clearly, because, just the fact that Bach is there in these group scenes tells me that they're bringing in more of his character from Gregory Maguire's novel, which if you haven't read, you might not realize he's actually a main character in most.
Yes. Another screen grab that I didn't have time to get, but that spotlight of the silhouette of the wizard in the film room. Again, that's like an iconic scene. That's something I would frame. I don't know if you saw, but I actually printed out and had framed because I just love, these pictures already. You know what I mean? There's so much
beautiful photography by Sophie Holland. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so beautiful. And so I love that we're getting these images because I think it's going to be so overwhelming seeing the film for the first time, right? We have Wicked Part 1. It is November 27th this year. It stays like every day. We're marching closer. So it's so great. And I hope this is probably the first of a couple trailers we'll have. There should be at least another one, maybe two more. There might be some TV featurettes that we see or, 30-second, 45-second spots that come out as well closer to the holiday.
And don't forget, on November 25th, NBC is going to be revealing an entire special And that's going to be a making of special where they're actually going to premiere a scene from the movie. So tune in to NBC on November 25th.
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be a half hour or an hour program. We'll find out closer to. Obviously, I work for an NBC affiliate, contribute to, and I wonder if there will be some other promo opportunities that we have, but also I think that what we just saw, this passion project, is probably part of that. I'm imagining, unless it's going to be a live special, this might have been a clip from what's going to be coming up in that NBC behind the scenes show.
I do know that Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are going to be, hosting that show, so to speak. They're going to be doing a lot of the intro. And I noticed that during their sit-down interviews, the dress that Ariana Grande had on, she was photographed outside her trailer wearing that dress, and they're going to be doing tours of the sets. So I do think that some of this came from that NBC special.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to see that.
I know, me too. I'm so excited. This whole day. And I would really keep your eyes peeled, folks, this week between now and the end of the week. Yes, we're getting the trailer on Wednesday, but keep your eyes on their social media. They drop things all the time without warning. I had no warning for this. It was like a bomb went off today.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Yes. Well, I'm thrilled. I think that, thank you, Tori, for finding the time today to jump on with me.
My pleasure.
More to come this week. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yes, you will.
Very fun. And thanks everybody for watching. Please like and share. And we will see you guys later.
Bye, guys.